All right, we're back here on Sounding Off on Soccer. I've got the crew from Steel City United with me, Tom Ovenden, and Ed Ellsworth, and Nicky Kolarac. The three of you, welcome aboard. It's great to have you here.
Cheers,
Great to
John.
be here. Yeah, great to be here.
Yeah, love it, love it.
Exciting times right now.
Well, and there's some uncertainty is one of the key words I've been using as we look ahead. We are less than a month because March 19th was the first of somewhere between March 19th and 21st. The first round of the U.S. Open Cup is supposed to kick off. As of now, we have not heard much from U.S. Soccer Federation officially since December. So from Steel City FC's standpoint, would you like to bring us up to speed? We're obviously aware of what's swirling around, and I introduced this podcast by talking about where we are in terms of what we're waiting for. But from your perspective and what's going on your end and preparing for this Open Cup, just bring us up to speed.
Yeah. I'll start with this. So it's an interesting one because we've been waiting and trying to get our act together to plan which day we were going to be playing and who we're going to be playing, and we can get onto that. But then it was just getting delayed, and then the Twitter rumor mills begin, and we've just been wondering kind of when we would hear on it. And now I think the latest result is that there's going to be a different version of the cup as it stands right now, and maybe a limited amount of MLS teams involved, which is super disappointing because this is the exciting story that we're trying to tell here, and a lot of the reason why we're doing what we've done and going down this path of of doing the first teams and getting ourselves into the hat for this competition. So it's definitely an interesting time.
Yeah, it's fun. You look at this, and this competition obviously predates all of us here, MLS. It's in the previous leagues, the NASL, and just going down the list. This is kind of the heart of who we are. This competition as a U.S. soccer community. It's literally the most democratic competition in the country, where anyone that can put a team and register and go and play and see how far you can take your crew. And so it is kind of I think a real inflection point in U.S. soccer's history of who's going to dictate the future. We can have discussions about things like pro-rel and closed systems, and that's fine. That's the path that MLS has taken. But having a closed system where only MLS dictates the rules to U.S. soccer, well, that's a different discussion, and I don't think that's right. And so the fact is that right now, I think it's going to take all of us there's a Steel City, and every little community has a team that wants to be a part of this competition. We all have to raise our voice and to really state how important this competition is, not just to the top end of the sport, but to the grassroots and to the communities all over this country.
And Nicky, any thoughts in terms of how you've been just observing what's going on outside the training complex, obviously?
Yeah. Obviously, like Thomas said, the Twitter rumor mill, I was on for a couple of days looking into that, and that was pretty disappointing. I have some thoughts about MLS, but I'll keep that to myself, I guess. And yeah, just really buzzing to get after. We've been training like 3 times a week with Coach Brower and the boys, so getting ready for the tournament. And obviously, it's big for the club. I think it's a big step forward, and we're excited to be in it. And for me individually, I think it's going to be my 3rd or 4th time playing in it as an older player now. I mean, I don't know how many more chances I'll get to do this, so it's obviously awesome, and we're looking forward to it.
Yeah. And Tomo and maybe Ed, can you comment in terms of the club communication with U.S. soccer? Has there been any kind of communication at this point?
There's not been a ton. Like, we've been working on just trying to get a stadium that meets all the criteria and all of that kind of stuff, and getting that ready. That's been the main piece. And then just the people that I know, the other the owners and directors that are in the same boat. I've just been connecting with those guys and been like, hey, is it normal that we haven't heard by now? And they're like, yeah, something's up, because we would have normally known by now who were going to be playing. And there's just, when you look into like where this kind of begins, there's a lot kind of going on here, and to do with the professional league standards that were set by US soccer when America got the World Cup, and then part of that deal was to set up a league. And part of the standards that US soccer set for MLS was that they had to compete in all of the all the competitions, and then eventually they've created so many more competitions that they want to now get rid of one that they don't see as quite as important. And the reality is with this one is that it's the one piece of the one competition that is similar to all the other world's competitions when it comes to football. So for them to kind of try and bin this one is kind of telling, and a little bit disappointing for sure. Especially we understand that to go up the leagues you have to kind of reach certain criteria and have a financial success to that. But at least this competition has a little bit of, like Ed says, that democraticness about it.
Yeah, and then from our standpoint, like I've been working under Brower on these, just helping a little bit on these sessions. Like I just came back from one today, and guys are just going. It's business as usual, right? It's full speed ahead. That when that name appears across from us, when we get into that whoever that name is, that just doing everything so that we're best prepared, so that when that competition's ready to go, that we're ready right out of the gates.
Yeah. And it's nice. I mean, like the competition has challenged us in many ways, because, our summer team, obviously this is like a summer league that we qualify through. So it's like a 2 or 3 month season. But, some of the people on Twitter, say that, necessarily leagues like that shouldn't necessarily qualify. But a lot of the clubs that we work with also operate in the other 9 months as well. And that's the path that we're starting to go down. And the nice thing for me is that is one of the directors is that, like, the nature of it is forcing us to have to bring the academy guys through. And that's the really exciting thing for me, because that's been the part of trying to develop this model and then link it to adult football. Is that's the bit that you want to see, is some of these lads going against the quote unquote pros. So that's what we're truly going to really have, is a fusion of people with really bad mustaches like Nicky, and then some lads with drawn on mustaches or a little bum flap on their upper lip as well. So
and we're talking about we're talking mid-March here in terms of roster. You're training, but I know you have guys that were part of college programs too, and they're training with their college teams. What explain that dynamic, and what do you think that your 18 looks like in terms of which players are there going to be any current enrolled college players as part of this team, or how will that work?
Nicky, do you want to answer that?
Yeah, I'll take that one. Yeah, I think we might at the moment have maybe 3 or 4 college players that'll be on the 18. But I think, like Tomo said, obviously it's unfortunate that a lot of our Division I guys can't play in the tournament because of the, I think, NCAA rules or something along those lines. They're training with college. But I think we're lucky as well to have such a good group of older guys involved in the program, and then the academy kids. I mean, the academy kids, there's probably at least 18 of them that have been training with us, and really they all have such good attitudes, and they're all good players and willing to work and learn, and they've impressed me, and I'm sure they've impressed the coaching staff. So that's kind of what it looks like now. I'm sure in the 18 it'll be a mix of guys like myself and then some academy kids as well. So should be a good little mix and fun to get to play with them.
Well, and opponents too, I'm sure, are all scrambling. There's 32 teams that anticipated that would be in part of the first round. Those 32 teams, 11 of those are local qualifiers. the one National Amateur Cup, the UPSL Spring Champion, the other 7 teams in the NPSL, and then 11 USL League Two. So I think a lot of the teams in the first round are really all in the same boat. And we could talk about opponents, potential opponents, but I think that it's a pretty level playing field, I would think.
Yeah, that's why it's so big. This project that we've all undertaken here of Tombo's coined that phrase "stronger together," and it really is. It has been the case. Is that years back, any one of these smaller clubs wouldn't have really been able to undertake this project, but to have such a depth of players beneath your adult players that really they're stepping in, and it's not like teaching them the system. It's already the system is the system, whether 8 or 38. The system is the system, and so they just work their way through, and so that has helped. That you're not creating a new language, not creating a new environment. All the staff's doing and all the players are doing is just building on principles that have been key tenets of the club to begin with.
Mm-hmm. And Nicky, I mean, on top of that, the system is the system. How important is it that you and the older players that have been part of this, that from the beginning, how important is it to see this and to see that the academy kids they have to buy into it. They're part of the program.
No, yeah, it's awesome to see. I mean, like Tomo said, the club is trying to build this, I guess, to get them into like the adult soccer league and get them ready to play at a higher level. And I think it's already like apparent that they're ready. And I mean, everybody just looks so good. All the academy kids. We have a couple, even like 15 and 16-year-olds training with us. And I remember one of the coaches was like, "Yeah, that kid's 15." And I was like, "What?" Like unbelievable talent. So, I mean, it's just been unreal. And obviously us older guys have been leading, but the academy kids are really mature and have like stepped forward and also led at times as well. So it's very good to see.
Yeah, and without that carrot at the top, it's very, like the system only works like, that the tier above drives the next tier above, and underneath the next tier underneath. And that's the nice thing about it now, is that, a lot of these older boys that would get to the top of their community, their club that they're with, they kind of just take the foot off the gas and they're, I'm the best in it, but now it's like, all right, I've got to knock Nicky Kolarac out the spot, so that's the next step and the next challenge. And the reality is with the first team and the club is about putting the best players that you have available. Tiers above us, they'll go out and buy a player, for example, or but at our level, we haven't got the players at the moment because a lot of our players are out. So the next players get their chance to step up, and I think we'll have a lot of players kind of surprise a few people at the level that they can play at. So that's the bit I'm really excited about.
Now, have you, looking at that list of 32 teams, you know who's out there? It's going to be a regional draw. I mean, there's no doubt about that. So just
do you want me to share the teams?
I'm sorry?
Do you want me to share the teams here?
Please.
Okay. Can you see that?
Mm-hmm.
Cars.
Yep.
Can you see that all right? Is that there?
All right. Well, we're looking at a list right now of all the teams in the 32 teams, and I'm looking at the breakdown. Additionally, as I said earlier, you have the amateur teams, and you have the NPSL teams. You have a whole pretty long list. You have the USL2 teams, but the teams that are close in terms of proximity are really going to be the ones that we're looking at potentially for. Could it be Westchester United? Could you stay in NPSL, or would they probably would take you guys out of the NPSL group and look at, well, what the USL2 teams, but I don't see too many that are that close.
It's an interesting conundrum.
Amateur cup team.
From my experience, I'm pretty sure as an NPSL club, we're not allowed to play against another NPSL club in the first round. So
Right.
Westchester is knocked out. And
Right.
I'm pretty sure the two that obviously regionally look like we're going to get is either Christos or the German club from Philly.
Yeah.
Christos from Maryland, I believe, right?
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
And who was the other one? I'm sorry.
Verizon, they're a German club from
Yeah.
Philly. They're an
This
amateur
one,
club.
very. I don't even want to try and pronounce
Yeah,
that.
I messed it up.
No.
So
Yeah.
Very
That's the
Young.
noise you make on a Friday night.
They're from Eastern Pennsylvania and Warminster, as far as I can see here.
Yeah,
And
they're
yeah,
a youth club like us. They're a youth club like us, and you'll see them at youth competitions as well. Yeah.
and they are in the United Soccer League of Pennsylvania. They were founded way back in 1931. So they've been around a long time. They've played in Open Cups in the 90s and 2002 and 2020. And so there's definitely a history there, and it's one of the great things about the Open Cup, isn't it, guys?
yeah, it is. Speaking of the Christos FC team from Maryland, who we could get, I want to say when I was on the Riverhounds a couple years back, they made a run as an amateur team. I think they won 4 games as an amateur team and ended up playing DC United in like the 4th round or something. So hope we
Yes,
can go on
Christos.
a run like them.
There's definitely history with Christos. I remember them recently. I believe it was there was another local club that was trying to qualify. It wasn't Tartan Devils. It was another local club, and they had to compete against Christos in the qualifying rounds. But yeah, Christos does have a history in the Open Cup and in the National Open amateur competitions as well. I guess they've launched a partnership with FC Baltimore as well. But now they're in League Two, as far as I know. So is that right? Or they were in League Two, but yeah. So I mean, hey, look, part of tournament play, right? And you guys are probably used to this since you've been in youth level, and coaches, you deal with this all the time. Is a lot of times you're not going to know your opponents all that much. You're just going to play your game.
The biggest thing you can fix is yourself, right? So oftentimes the best scouting that you can do is the self-scouting. If you're, so yeah, Christos and some of these other teams, you keep an eye on them. You obviously mine for information that you can, but the reality is the biggest gains you're going to make are just on what within your own program and your own team, and making sure that you're as adaptable and productive as possible when that team comes on the field with you.
Yeah, exactly. And then if we, win that game, then, we know the next game will definitely be against the Hounds, because that's when the USL teams enter in. And then it's, the next matchup will be a regional, whoever is the closest. And, that would be definitely the closest, I think.
Well, I don't know if you're making guarantees or if that's been, of course, I think that's something that everyone would hope to see, would want to see. And, I think the Riverhounds are really looking forward to getting back into the tournament. Of course, they had a lot of success last year in terms of going a long distance, but, yeah, I mean, both, Nicky, you've been there, you've been on both sides of it, but being the underdog and being, with a club like this, and also playing with the Riverhounds and playing against, teams that you're supposed to beat. What's that like in the Open Cup?
Yeah, it's interesting. I have experienced both. When I played for the Michigan Bucks in PDL back in the day, which is USL2 now, we actually beat a USL team and then played an MLS club. This was back in like 2013. And then my second year on the Riverhounds, we actually lost in the second round to an amateur team. So I've seen it all. And yeah, I think it's just more like what Ed was saying is obviously you keep an eye on who you're playing and you respect your opponent, but really if the coaches are preparing you the right way and your mindset's good and you buy into the system, I mean, that should be the recipe for success to win this, at least the first couple rounds, I think.
One of the interesting things too about this time of year for clubs like the Riverhounds is they're still trying to figure it out. They've got a lot of guys that are really new playing with each other.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I think just going back from my time, obviously, I think it is tough to gel as a USL club at the beginning of the season just because the turnover rate's so high every year. Um, at least I like to think that. And when I was at the Hounds, I think that was a little bit of an issue at times, was we weren't clicking until mid or later season just because of the turnover rate. So yeah, maybe we'll catch the Hounds in the second round and hopefully make some noise. I don't know if that'll happen because I don't know if the draw will come, but would love to just get a game against them. I think it would be great for obviously our club and just the city as a soccer in whole, you know?
It's my understanding that the rounds will be done regionally, slightly, so it will be done geographically after the first round.
Well, what I'm wondering is if there's, because of the MLS changes, if there will be any changes in terms of maybe moving the USL Championship teams back to the round 3, or how
Yeah,
that
true.
might. There's still a lot of unknowns. Nobody really quite knows.
Yeah, that's for sure. That is for sure.
Yeah. All right, guys. Well, again, between now and March, what do things look like? I'm sure we're gonna get the schedule soon. But what are things going to look like for the program moving into preparation for the U.S. Open Cup?
Well, right now, I'll tell you what, it's full steam ahead. The coaches are putting together some incredible sessions right now. The guys are just really they're working on and off the field extensively. At the end of the day, there's a lot of excitement. You know, we have our youth players. We had our 10s, 11s, 12s, 13s all walking on the field right after the training session today, and they see these guys. There's a lot of, and just really excited, asking them, do they know who they're playing? So there's a lot of excitement right now at the club of just finding out when and where do we have to be at to support the team. And so we're going to have a big turnout. I know that.
Yeah, I don't know, Nicky, if you want to talk about that in terms of the conversations you've had with the players and just getting into that mindset to prepare for this.
Yeah, we're all obviously super excited and ready to go. The past couple of days, we've obviously been in like a big group text wondering if it's gonna happen or get canceled, and obviously it got the go ahead. So we're all buzzing for that. And like Ed said, we're training probably 3 times a week and then also doing our own stuff on our own to stay fit and, weightlifting program and everything. Yeah, everybody's super excited. I mean, obviously last year when we qualified, that was one of our goals, was to qualify for the Open Cup, and we did it. So yeah, we're just ready. We're gonna be plugging away at training and just hopefully keep reaching the next step. And yeah, we'll be ready to go either the 19th or the 21st. So
I I do think there is just still more to play out when, from a political perspective, when it comes to, this event, and the way that it's going. I mean, I think whatever happens here is a big moment for the game in the States. I think that, once precedent is set, there's already, cases and, going on in different parts of the country right now, which will be impacted by this. And, you've got a lot of lawyers and things like that, I'm sure, in the background and advising. So, it's going to be a really interesting time. But we're going to have to be ready to pivot for sure. But we're good at that.
Well, I'm ready to pivot with you. I'm ready to, get the news and share that with everybody in terms of what this tournament format will look like officially in 2024. So U.S. Soccer kind of they hold the balls in their court right now, and they'll be hopefully sharing something in the coming days. Everyone's just sort of waiting for that. So, guys, thank you so much for joining me. This has been great, and I definitely will be in touch. And not only myself, but some of my colleagues at Pittsburgh Soccer Now will stay in touch, and we'll be in touch in terms of U.S. Open preparation coverage. And then, of course, covering, hopefully wherever you go. I one question I think I need to ask before we move forward any further. Any chance for a home match in the first round, or did you guys not bid for that?
Yeah, we have applied for the home game. We've got Ambrose Urbanic Field booked tentatively for one of the days. So like that's our hope, is that we would get the home game for the first round, at Pitt's place, and try and fill the place, which would be fun and be exciting, and the weather's kind of cooperating on that perspective. So we're getting some fairly nice temperatures, which is good. So yeah, if people want to come down, we would really, really appreciate the support, because there is quite a lot that goes into running lower league football, and when it comes to the finances, and just one thing I just thought of then, like whichever club lasts the longest in the amateur, from the amateur groups, gets a pretty good size payment. So that would help fund the program moving forward as well. So that's kind of like one of our goals that we've set as a club, to try and be that club.
Hopefully, and the MLS won't be taking 40% of your proceeds either from match.
I hear some of the owners are hard up. I think they need. MLS billionaires need a cut from little old Steel City.
Based upon what we'll charge, that'll be about 40 cents a ticket that they're going to get. So all the best to them.
But I will say, though, Ambrose would be a great venue for round one. That's something we would all look forward to. Heck, that would be awesome if it was round two against the Riverhounds as well. But who knows?
Fine playing away in the second round.
Yeah. All right. Again, thanks, guys. Really great to have you on the podcast again tonight, and we look forward to what's to come.
Thanks, John. Appreciate all you do for the city with the football. Awesome.
Yeah, thank you, John. Appreciate it.